Welcome to Talking It Out. I am your host, Jonathan Geffner, and I have a special guest today, April Brucker. And I believe the pronunciation is Brucker, and April has a little tip, she said, to help me remember it. What is that tip?
The tip is it rhymes with hooker. And back in the day, when I was first starting to do comedy in New York City, I had all these male MCs who couldn't get a date to save their life. I mean, they really couldn't. And so they couldn't say my name. And so I said, listen, guys, it rhymes with hooker. And they always remembered it. And note to everybody watching, Mae Wilson wrote that joke. I did not.
Difficult to deal with sometimes. I know I have that problem with my partners sometimes as well. So as some of you might...
So you know the feeling, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can empathize with that. April is a unique guest. I was very happy that April could join me here today on my relatively new talk show here, because April is an entertainer of a different sort, since she combines different talents as an actress, comedian, celebrity host, and a ventriloquist, which you were just referencing right there. You mentioned your book, so let's just talk a little more about that. What is the book about? Is it sort of a memoir, autobiography? Is it instructional, or what?
It's a combination of the three. It's memoir, autobiography, instructional. It teaches, young vets, obviously, how to do ventriloquism. But also, I try to guide young and aspiring vets through the business, especially women, because, there's no business like show business. And when we say that, we're laughing sometimes, but as you know, we're also kind of complaining. There's no business like show business.
True. So, yeah, this book is available for purchase on Amazon, or where else?
Yeah, Amazon, online, at any online bookseller, you name it, they have it. And we actually got featured in Vanish magazine, and that's a magic magazine out of India. So that was pretty cool. And Mae Wilson says she's going international, but I don't know if you have this problem with your partner, but Mae likes to be called a textile American.
I see that. Well, that's very appropriate. It's a fitting title. We have a little promo, I believe, a little video promo for your book. So let's run that now.
Where can I get a copy? It's available on Amazon and through booksellers worldwide. You know, girl, this is going to be a bestseller because I'm on the front cover. Mae, I'm in the photo too. Hate to break it to you, April, but no one will notice because not only am I cuter, but I'm the star.
And we're back. So everybody should pick up your copy of that book, Don't Read My Lips. And I see you've brought your partner here to join us for a little bit. Mae, it's nice to meet you, Mae. Well, what do you think of this?
Nice to meet you too. April didn't tell me that you were so handsome.
Oh, well, that's nice of you to say so, Mae. What do you think of this book? What's...
What do I think of the book?
Yeah.
I think that I'm the star. And I'm going to make, but there's no I and T. Duh, but there's a me, and I'm the star of that book. You should read it because I'm the star. It's one thing that I'm the star of. Mae. Yeah. He doesn't want to hear about how you're a star. He's got a puppet too. The correct term is textile American. Mae. You need to be humble. Well, April, I don't need to be humble when I'm a star. So Mae, now that you're a star, what do you have to say? I would like to thank all the little people. The little people. Yes, like the Lilliputians. Do you mean me? Yeah, you're only 5'3". I'm taller than you, but you're a little person and I'm a textile American. Wow, that's a bad joke. You wrote it.
Little
I really
person.
get some material.
Well, but little person with quite a large ego, I'm sensing, Mae. You have a lot of...
You have a large ego too, if you were more. Okay. Let me tell you, I've been on TV so many times, Jonathan, that when I'm out with April, you know what they say? You look familiar. Yeah, this actually happens. They tell me that I look familiar. And then they see moi on a picture, and you know what they say? That's a very, very famous puppet. Can we talk to her? Actually, that does happen, yeah. So, yeah, Mae, that really does happen, but Mae and I are roommates. And then on Craigslist, where, of course, all the good things happen.
You are sort of a matchmaker, too. You serve that role sometimes. Are you Are you helping April? In fact, I think April might still be in the market. I'm gathering. Is that true?
Yeah.
You're helping April find.
Yeah, she actually is. I'm just desperately seeking Mr. OK. And April, what are you doing looking for some random guy from Oklahoma? Not a random guy from Oklahoma, May. Mr. OK is an OD, you know, like my ex, the one that everyone liked. They said the same thing about Jeffrey Dahmer, but he had a hot body in his refrigerator.
Whoa.
You know what? You're just jealous that I have the better love life. Your older brother doesn't count.
You might have to put the reins and pull the reins in a little bit on May there. May's full of a lot of energy, I see there. High energy partner. So May, what's the, I'll direct, while you're here, I know you've got to leave soon, but I just want to direct a question to you now, May, that what's your favorite kind of activity that you do with April? Do you enjoy performing, or is it you sort of prefer other kinds of activities?
You know what I like to do? I like to help April as my wingman. So when I look for my sugar daddy, they see how dire my life is. Wait, mate, we never talked about that. See my unfortunate friend? Yeah, you see, for now, I'm going to ventriloquist act, but I'm a star. I want to go solo. Oh, really, mate? You want to go solo? Yeah, look, I'm a good prop actor on my own. I'm a star. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my hand out. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. You ever have to do this with your figure, Jonathan? They're acting up. You got to let them know who's boss.
Sometimes, yes. We do that, yes.
Yeah, now I feel. Do you have children?
I do have 2 daughters who are now grown on their own in their 20s.
And I bet you wish that you could have done that to them plenty of time, right? Yeah.
I know the feeling. That's right.
No, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Should I put her back on my other hand, Jonathan, or should I let her suffer?
Well, I think maybe we should let May go off and look for a sugar daddy. This one might be a good time for her to get to work here.
So look for a sugar daddy?
Yeah, I think it's time.
By the way, Jonathan, are you rich?
No, I'm not, so you can count me out.
Okay, this conversation's so ogre. But May, that's really shallow. No romance without finance. May Wilson, everybody.
Yes, well, thank you for that treat, letting us see and get to know May a little bit, your primary partner. I know you do have some other partners. You have a Biden character, right? A President Biden character. I've seen you work with him a bit, yes? Mm-hmm. And
yes.
Do you have any others in the works, or are you thinking of, or have you used any others?
Well, actually, you can see a lot of my partners on my new special. It's dropping April 28th, and it runs to May 7th on uncagedtv.uk/April. It's a pay-per-view special. And on that special, you can see, of course, May Wilson. She'll let you know that she's the star. You can see Esmeralda Ganush. She is the world's worst fortune teller, let me tell you. You can see Dwayne Newton. You can see Donald J. Trump. He somehow got onto the lineup of that special. You can see Vinny 2 times, okay? He's a mobster turned magician. He's a terrible magician, but, you know, he needed the booking to keep up with his parole. And then, of course, you can see Joe Biden time. So you can stay tuned for that special, and it's going to be lit. And it's the first time I've done a special like that, so I'm really excited.
It sounds exciting. And once again, when and where could people see it?
It's April 28th through May 7th. It has an 11-day run, and it's a pay-per-view special. You got to buy a ticket to see it. And it's on uncagedtv.uk/April.
Great. Well, I'll make sure to post the link here under the video, because we will be posting this this video, uploading it before then. So that's great. People will have a chance to actually tune in and watch that. We'll also post your other social media links. So now that you've given us this little intro to your main partner, May, I think will be a good time to show a little promo video we have of let's see, I made a note to myself that oh, you have an April in Vegas interview show of your own. Yes, you have one season of that you've done so far, and that's on your YouTube channel, correct?
Yes, it's streaming on my YouTube channel, and we are in pre-production right now for season 2. And actually, that's been a tremendous treat, because we've been doing that from the English Hotel in the Las Vegas Arts District with my co-host Steve Dennis. And Steve funny and he compliments me perfectly. I feel like we're Regis and Kathy Lee, but only hipper. And I don't talk about Cody.
Yeah,
Now
well,
I'm feeling old. I'm feeling old now. I just dated myself.
well, it's nice and fresh and young feeling this because I've seen a couple of episodes. They're lots of fun. So we have a little promo for that. Let's watch it now. April in Vegas, you can watch season 1 right now on April's YouTube channel. We'll be posting the link to that under this video. And season 2 coming up. I'm glad to hear that it's in pre-production, you say, yes? For season 2.
Yes, pre-production. We're lining up guests as we speak. And I also have another exciting short series of shorts that you can now see every Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern time, called Dummies on the Street, where all my children ask everybody the hard questions. And by the way, I forgot one cast member of my special, Monsieur Mortimer, the blue Rougarou, and he's probably the best journalist of the group.
Yeah, you have quite a nice array, a variety of characters. So having them all in one special like that will be a lot of fun. We do have a clip you mentioned about you call it Dummy on the Street? Is that what you?
Yes, Dummies on the Street. Yep.
Dummies on the Street. Yeah, we do have a clip, I believe, from that, or it might be something similar. You can clarify once we watch it. So let's take a look.
Somebody threw a chair through the window and just ruined the party?
Yes.
What is your most scintillating move?
Well, Dwayne, I could show you, or I could tell you.
Oh, praise the Lord, I can't repeat that on television. I gotta get to church. Let me tell you, you are worth the sins of the flesh.
Thank you.
Wow, what a revelation.
So that's Dummies on the Street, couple of little excerpts. And once again, where can people watch the full episodes of that?
They can watch it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/April Brucker Comedy. And it comes out every Saturday at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. And if you're in any in-between time zone, you got to figure that out. Okay, yeah. I'm bad at math.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's on the viewers to figure that out. Shouldn't be too difficult.
Yes.
So, April, how did you become an entertainer in general? What was your path? What was your first kind of entertainment that you were interested in? And, how did it lead to the others, since you are kind of do variety kind of things?
Well, that's actually a crazy story in itself. I wanted to be either a gymnast or a platform diver as a kid. And I was
direct line from that to ventriloquism, huh?
Yeah. Well, my parents didn't want me to move away from home to be a gymnast, because that's what you got to do. You got to move away when you're a kid. And then I tried to be a platform diver, and I was really excited about it. But unfortunately, I wasn't really good at it. So I remember my coach. Yeah, my coach actually said to me, "Kid, you probably have other talents like basket weaving," and he wasn't wrong, because I became a ventriloquist. I was watching an Edgar Bergen TV special with my family, and this is where fate and kismet come in, because I grew up without cable, and my parents were like, "If you live in this house, you're going to be a thinker." So I was raised with 3 channels. Okay. And I was only ever allowed to watch TV on the weekends, and we would steal other channels. You know, we had the little fuzzies.
Oh,
So it was a highlight that I got to watch Rugrats. And so anyway, we got cable because my brother started to play football. And my dad only wanted the local sports channel. And so he's on the phone with the cable company. And so they said, Mr. Brucker, if you're going to get cable, you got to get 40 channels. He's like, but I only want one, but you got to get 40. So after an
Right.
hour of my dad screaming at the cable company, we got 40 new channels. We got cable. So with 40 new channels, my dad had 40 more channels of commercials he hated because my dad hates commercials. So we're sitting in front of the TV one Friday night after one of my brother's football games. And my dad does not want to watch this commercial. So he switches to A&E where they're having an Edgar Bergen tribute. And Jeff Dunham's performing, the whole gang.
Oh.
And everybody in my family tries to talk like a ventriloquist. But I had my great grandmother's sideways Irish smile. And so everybody tried to do it, but I was the only one that was successful. So that Christmas, my mom put a Groucho Marx ventriloquist figure under the tree for me.
Oh, how nice. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
But you also have you've done acting. What would your dream gig be at this point? What would you most like to do? Magic wand kind of thing. What kind of performance venue or show would you like to do?
I would like to do I would like to have a touring show. I want to go around the world. I want to do Broadway. I want to do the Sydney Opera House, all the big theaters, because this is an answer that's going to have parts. But the second thing that I'd like is my own late night talk show. But I'd also like serious acting because I have a degree in it from NYU.
Wow.
I'm method trained. Yeah, and it's funny because
Serious
whenever I develop a new character, it's like they have a personal object. I mean, I'm into character development, and even when I do a play, I did a play once, and I think it was Crimes of the Heart, and I drove my director crazy because I would message her about my character work, and she's like, "Not April again, probably." She's like,
So backstories for all your puppet partners and everybody you work with, huh?
Yeah, and I actually find that helps. That actually helps when I get writer's block because everybody gets it. It helps generate new material.
Right.
Because when you think about it, when a legit stand-up comic gets up, they're from somewhere because they've had jobs, they've had relationships, and so our partners are supposed to be real. They're from somewhere. They have jobs, they have relationships, right?
What was the inspiration for May in particular? I mean, and is there going to be a June and July or
stay tuned. But May Wilson, the way I got May Wilson, and this is a crazy story in itself. I wanted a figure that looked like me. And so my sister had she had a Charlie McCarthy doll she wasn't using. So it was just kind of sitting there. And my mom's like, we should turn that into a figure that looks like you. So my Aunt Helen gave Charlie a makeover, and that was a Juro doll with a pull string. Don't tell Ron DeSantis. So anyway, long story short, that was the first May Wilson. And the character was a Valley girl. And the way she sort of evolved is she's based off of two people. One is a mean girl that I went to high school with, whose name I will not say because I don't want to give her any publicity, but she was just mean. And she was one of those girls that, hit puberty early and the guys were like in love with her and she totally peaked. But she was a mean girl, queen bee type. But the second was another friend of mine who I will name, Erin Kelly. And she was a cheerleader that drove a red convertible. And Erin was funny. All she wanted to do was marry a rich doctor. And she drove this car everywhere. And anytime she saw anybody, she was like, era, era, era. And so, because you would totally think she was mean, but she wasn't. She was just friends with everybody. And you would, there was era 1, era 2, era 3. There were like 100 eras. And I think even the school security guard was an era at one point. And so it's like, who couldn't love somebody like her? And so that's how May Wilson was born. And so May was just May, and I was just April.
Uh-huh.
And the way she got her last name, and this is a cool story in itself. I grew up without cable, and one of the cartoons that I always watched was Dennis the Menace. And when I was a baby then, I got a chance to do a show with Otto and George. Do you remember them?
Oh, yes, I remember. I met Otto and George way back. Yeah.
And I worked with Otto twice, and I can say that both of those times were the highlights of my young comedy career.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first time he works with me, he says, "I like what you're doing." And at the time, I was not getting a lot of encouragement because, I was a woman, I was young, I had a puppet. It's like the trifecta. And I said,
sorry,
thanks.
we should interject, though, for those who don't know, that Otto and George is a ventriloquist and his wooden partner. So
yes, George Dudley, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and so if you don't know, watch their clips, but they're not safe for work. So
Right.
And if you're a kid, you might get grounded if you watch it, but he's brilliant. He's genius at profanity.
Right.
So anyway, I'm talking to Otto after the show, and he goes, "Does May have a last name?" I said, "May doesn't need a last name. She's a puppet." He's like, "Oh, May needs a last name because that's going to make her real." I said, "What's George's last name?" He says, "Dudley, like my uncle." And I was like, "Oh, George Dudley." And so growing up, as I said, I only had 3 channels. And Dennis the Menace was one of my favorite cartoons. And you know what the neighbor's name is, right?
In the Dennis the Menace series? Is that you're
Yes.
asking me? Well, let's see if I can remember that far back. When I was a kid, I did watch it. The Neighbor of Dennis the Menace. Oh, you mean Wilson? Oh, Wilson, right?
Yeah, Mr. Wilson.
Oh, Mr. Yes, that's okay, right.
And so, and I also figured, because Wilson was so easy to say, unlike Brucker, but M and W are the hardest letters for a ventriloquist to say. So yeah, my head isn't always filled with good ideas, people. That's what May will tell you. But
yeah, but that is a good idea. I mean, as far as giving realness to your character, the full identity, that all makes sense. So, in the what type of shows do you normally do? I mean, you're in Vegas, so people have images of kind of the big. I don't know, variety shows or something. But what is that the kind of show that you do mostly, or do you do other kinds?
I do all sorts of shows. I do. I was a special guest star for 9 months in an all-female review, so I did that. Burlesque variety show. I've done those. I've done legit stand-up comedy club dates. I do those too. I do traveling dates. I obviously do television dates. I do fundraiser shows. I'll go anywhere that they pay me money, really.
And yes, you do get a little risque sometimes. You like the towel routine sticks on my mind. I wouldn't forget that. Right, things like that. Right. In fact, we have a clip. So for those, is this how risque is this? I hope not.
It's not going to get you fired. Relax.
Oh, all right, good. Okay, so here we go with a little bit of that side of April Brucker.
Direct from Las Vegas, a hot blonde with her sassy puppets. What could possibly go wrong? April Backstage is your VIP pass for a meet and greet with actress, author, comedienne and television personality, April Brucker. America's foremost female ventriloquist wants to perform her towel juggling routine, but is interrupted by her zany sidekicks. Don't miss April Backstage. April might just drop her towel.
And we're back. So another side of April, her wide variety of entertainment styles that she is capable of doing. April, in all the performing that you've done, you meet a lot of people as a performer. And who's the most interesting or maybe unusual person that you met? Does anybody stick in your mind as somebody who surprised you?
Oh gosh, I've met a lot of people. I have 3 stories that are absolutely crazy, and this only happens as a ventriloquist. My routines when I was a baby then, I did a lot of the burlesque shows in New York City because they opened their doors to me and they were encouraging, and the producers were all lovely women for the most part. And so I developed a routine with May that was burlesque oriented, where May and I would get on stage and May would be like, "It's a burlesque show, April. It's time for you to strip." And I would have an audience member help me strip, and May would command them. And so I've been doing this for a while. and everybody was pretty drunk. And there was this kid by the name of Flanagan who volunteers. And Flanagan, he looked like a gentleman scholar. That's all I'm going to say. So he comes on stage and May commands him, and it's a zip dress. Everything is pretty straightforward. So instead of, because usually May would say, thank you, Flanagan, give him a kiss, and he'd be on his way. But that didn't happen. Instead, he takes the dress and he runs away with it. And so, and this is how I'm going to get home. Like I wore, and thank goodness it was warm, but I'm in my skivvies, and this is because the bit was, bra and granny panties. So he takes my dress. So everybody's like, oh my God. So the bouncer is trying to wrestle the dress off of him. He gets away from the bouncer. And so the other bouncer has to run after him, and everybody empties out of the showroom onto the sidewalk of the Lower East Side in New York City. And so he's wrestling with two bouncers. Now, of course, everybody's forgotten that we're performing and this is all happening. So finally we get the dress back and I'm able to go on with the show. And afterwards, I'm like, okay. So he finds me on social media a few months afterwards and says, hey, sorry I took your dress. You were making jokes about how guys were mean to you. And I just wanted to tell you how beautiful you were. Thanks, I guess. And so then another time, and this was another interesting fellow that I met. I was doing a show in Las Vegas. And May and I, during our set in Vegas, sing Mr. Sandman. Because we do this whole routine. In the end, we just sing Mr. Sandman. So we're singing Mr. Sandman, and this guy's been there all night. He's incredibly drunk. He's been obnoxious. He's been hassling the MC. He's been saying obnoxious stuff about the girls. But for some reason, he likes May Wilson and I. Lucky us, right? Well, anyway, we end our routine. We're saying, she's singing. May is singing her part of Mr. Sandman. And he jumps up like he won the lottery, and he's like, oh my God, the puppet sings too. Like, I'm doing another show in Vegas, and it's a Thursday night. And one thing about Vegas is Thursdays and Sundays, as far as shows go, are hit and miss. Because Thursdays, people are coming to town, they're jet lagged. And Sundays, people are asleep from partying all weekend. But Friday and Saturday are lit. So it's a Thursday night. The audience is okay. And May and I have a bit about being roommates that met on Craigslist. It's just a bit. And all of a sudden, this woman goes, the Craigslist killer killed my family. F you. And she starts swearing at May. And I'm like, this is not happening. So May tells her to shut up, and they start going back and forth. So she starts arguing with May. And so the security guy he's an MMA fighter, former boxer type. Comes over and he goes, excuse me, ma'am, could you calm down? And she goes, that the Craigslist killer, they got my family. And so the bouncer is trying to calm her down. Finally, they have to drag her out of the showroom, and she's screaming. So the venue manager goes, ma'am, what can I do to help you? And he goes, the puppet, blah, blah. And he goes, so let me understand this. You want a refund because you got into a fight with a puppet. She's like, yes. And they start fighting. And he's telling her that's not going to happen. And she goes, if that's the way it's going to be, fine. And she walks out, just stomps out. Gotta love Vegas, baby. Yeah,
that is funny. And I've had probably every ventriloquist has some version of that story with audience members talking either to the puppets or fighting with puppets and arguing with puppets and things like that. But that's always funny when that happens. April, what do you like best about your work? I want to ask you what you like best and what you like least about it. But let's start with least. What do you least like about it, so we end on something positive? What would you say is the worst part of your work? And then
the worst part of my work sometimes is how people don't have a sense of humor. And this is another interesting person story. I was with Stand Together Against Trump at the Republican National Convention, and Donald J. Trump's on my arm. And this is to show you how America needs to laugh again. And unfortunately, we are so polarized politically that I've met people on both sides of the aisle that I'm like, just go outside, get some fresh air, and get an ice cream cone, really, So I was doing my bit with Donald J. Trump, and this guy comes up, and he's got the cowboy hat and the mustache, and he looks like he has a copy. He would have had a copy catcher of the Rye if he could read, you know. And I hope he didn't have Jodie Foster on speed dial. That's all I have to say. Well, anyway, he comes up and he goes, "Why do you hate Trump?" And I said, you know, I had my talking points. I was like, "Well, Bob," well, he's like, "I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to him." And he starts fighting with Donald J. Trump, and he goes, "That's the way it's going to be fine." And he stomps off. And because of that character, I mean, that's not the only thing that happened. I had people write me hate mail for that character.
And do you get
or they would write him hate letters. Oh yeah, and it's like, guys, it's comedy. Like,
how about your Biden time, puppet?
I had some folks from the other side of the aisle tell me that I was ageist, that I was mean, that I was this, I was that, I was destroying democracy. And it's like, guys, come on. I make fun of everybody. That's part of being a comedian. And my whole thing is, if you're going to do this, you got to make fun of everybody because they're all crazy. Okay. And none of them are going to help you at 2 a.m. when your car's broken down. None of them.
Yeah, it's true what you say about the polarization. It's always dangerous, political humor, but it can be a very particularly fun, you know, when it works for those who appreciate it. It's nice when people are able to appreciate without a political stance, just the humor itself. In other words, people who are you know, like Republicans who could laugh at Trump and Democrats who could laugh at Biden, you know. There are some people who do that, but very often people are just too much in their way. Like, there's only one venture I've done into that politically. Usually I avoid it. Don't want to face all those challenges. But I recently got a Dr. Fauci puppet. I did some videos with him, and so it's the first time I've gotten political. But it's something I really wanted to do. So. Yeah, I have found that the reactions are so polarized. Like, people either love him or hate him. You know, it's usually people who, you know, like, enjoy seeing him being made fun of. They enjoy it. Other people who just, to them, Fauci is God. They hate what I do. But that's the way it goes. Anyway, it's a lot of fun.
Here's the funny thing. I've had people walk out of a show when they see Donald J. Trump, but on the flip side, Roger Stone, who worked for Trump, saw him, and Roger's a big ventriloquist fan. I know, crazy. Anyway, Roger loved Donald J. Trump. He thought he was funny.
That's nice. Yeah. Well, it's also a tribute to you that you do it well, so it's more likely you can, you know, sort of. Well,
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. You can get people to appreciate it. It's just, there's some people, there's nothing you can do. Like, if they're all they look at everything through a political lens, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh yeah, there's nothing you can do. But one thing that I love about my work is all the opportunities that it's afforded me to meet people like yourself, to meet other vets. I've gotten to meet so many different vets over the years at all sorts of different levels. I've gotten to meet, oh gosh, and all of them are impressive. I'd have to say there's a lot of great talent out there. And I love the fact that my work has, you know, that I've gotten to be on network television, which was pretty cool. I was actually on What Would You Do? And this is a cool story. It has two parts. The first part was, you know, I got to, because I was on with John Pizzi, who's a great vet, by the way, if you've never met John.
Yeah, I know him.
And so I got to meet John that day. And, but I was making fun of a homeless woman who was an actor and who had actually taken a car from, and you're in New York City, so you're going to know what I'm talking about. She took a freaking car from Westchester to the South Street Seaport. She's in a higher income bracket than any of us. All right. So, but she's playing a homeless woman. So of course, this doorman who's having a bad day, he's smoking a cigarette. You can already tell that he's just, you know, he's looking for somebody to shove, in the words of Collective Soul. He comes over to Mae Wilson and I, and he's like, "Stop making fun of the homeless lady, blah, blah." And so, of course, John Quinones comes out and he's like, "Where was What Would You Do?" And, you know, and so, but he was arguing with Mae, and I'm like, "It's not me, it's her." He's like, "Well, when the cops come, you know, they're going to call the cops on both of you." But it was cool that I got to meet him because he turned out to be pretty cool. And I just have gotten to meet so many different people. But the other cool part was my sister, 2 weeks before that aired, had gotten married. And I was the maid of honor in that wedding. And so, of course, I was planning this wedding. And then, you know, she's moving into her house. and her husband was settling his apartment back in Nashville. So she was getting the house ready while he was still moving some stuff and yada, yada, yada. So my parents were down helping her set up, and she had just installed her television. That was the first show she watched on her new TV.
Oh, nice. Great way to
So
break
they
it
were
in.
watching. I was back in New York, and as I was doing this, I was watching at my friend's house, because when I was in New York, I did not own a television. So the funny thing was that I would always go over somebody else's house to watch. I'd be like, I'm on TV. Can I like cook for you or something so I could watch myself? Or they'd be like, April, we saw you on TV. I'm like, will my dad still be speaking to me? So anyway, I was over her house, and her grandson was like 3 years old. And he's looking at me and looking at the television, and he walks up and he's trying to figure out, like, what's April doing on the television if she's here.
That's
So
funny.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, April, for joining me here today. It's been great talking with you, meeting you in person, so to speak, because we chatted a bit. We're on crossed paths, but now to actually talk face to face and to get a chance, give a chance to all our viewers to meet you and to meet May, and soon they can meet a lot of your other partners too. And that special,
Yep.
we'll put the link to it under this video, so everybody check that out and subscribe to April's YouTube channel as well. We'll put all those links there for you. If you enjoyed this interview, give us a like and a share, and write some comments, and I'll be answering you. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that. Also, always hit that notification bell so you don't miss the new upcoming uploads. So until next time, thank you, April and May, and see you soon.
See you soon.